Hallo und herzlich willkommen hier auf der Vision Stage. Ich freue mich, dass Sie zu dem nächsten Vortrag gekommen sind. Ich muss persönlich sagen, es ist einer meiner Lieblingsvorträge, auch wenn ich das wahrscheinlich so nicht sagen dürfte. Es geht um Superblocks aus Barcelona. Wer liebt sie nicht? Sie stehen für mehr Lebensqualität, für mehr Grün, für mehr Blumen, für mehr Sitzgelegenheiten und vor allen Dingen für weniger Verkehr. Und ich freue mich, dass wir heute den Koordinator der Superblocks aus Barcelona heute hier haben werden. Denn Barcelona hat sich 2016 dazu entschieden, Superblocks in ihr Mobilitätskonzept zu integrieren. Und der Plan ist es, so um die 500 Superblocks in Barcelona entstehen zu lassen. Und ich bin froh, dass er heute hier ist. Daniel Alsina Torda, einen Applaus bitte für unseren Gast. Welcome, Daniel. The stage is yours.
Thanks. Thank you, Tatinia, and thanks to the city of Köln and police mobility for your invitation. And I try to explain what we are doing in Barcelona as a transformation. Barcelona, as you can hear in the picture, is a city that is very compact, is very dense city. We only have 100 square kilometers, and we are 1.6 million inhabitants. And as you can see here in the picture, we don't have much green areas. So we say that we are a city of streets and squares. So at this point, coming from an old model of carbon-based, we have different problems. The first one is pollution. We are over the standards of the pollution that we should be, until the point that the European Union wants to give a fine to Barcelona because they want us to reduce the pollution. We have acoustic pollution caused by the traffic too. We have a greenhouse gas effect of 4 degrees. In the center, we have 4 degrees more comparing to the surroundings. We have lots of traffic accidents, and as I was saying, we have a lack of green areas. The standard said that we should be around 10 to 15 square meters, and we're only 6.6. And in some central areas, we are only 1.85. So that's something that we need to reverse. But how can we reverse this situation? What we did is, in the beginning of 2020, we declared the climate emergency. So that means that from that point, all the projects that we are doing in the city of Barcelona right now, they are in a sustainable way. And we call it the Superblock, Superilla in Catalan. That's the Superilla. The Superblock is a strategy of transformation. So all the new projects that we are doing in the city, like the big ones, small ones, tiny, huge ones, they are all in this concept of city transformation. And how do we do it? We do it in 3 ways: about nature, about proximity, and about collaboration. About nature, we want a more resilient city. So we have to put more nature in the city. We want to have more green in the city. And we do it where? Like everywhere. Like in streets and parks and even narrow streets, and also in the buildings. So we have these programs to put more green in the roofs or in the facades of the buildings. Second one is proximity. Barcelona is a compact city, so it's already a 15-minute city. So if we take this short distances city and we make conditions for the people to move in an active way, then it's good because everything is very close. So these maps here, they are about facilities. From the Olympic Games in 1992, we started to make all the facilities spread out all over the city uniformly. So everyone has the facilities like schools or health facilities very close to their house. And they can walk there, they can have a bicycle there. And the third one is about collaboration. If you want to transform your city, you don't have to do it alone. You have to take into account people's needs. So we make this digital platform, and all these participation processes for the people to come to us and to be able to explain and give us information. And we can take this information and do a feedback and explaining to them what we want to achieve and where we want to go with this transformation. So I'm going to show slightly three programs of the city of Barcelona that they go in this transformation strategy. First one is Grüne Korridores. They are like big, wide streets. They are former urban highways for cars, and we are transforming because they connect different parts, different green parks of the city, like from the sea or from this park to the mountain, etc. And if we take these 8 lanes old highways and we transform them, we can take part of the lanes, the car lanes, away, and we have more space for bicycle lanes or for putting ring. We've learned in Barcelona that if you give less space to the cars, you will have less cars in these streets. This is Meridiana Street. That's one of the entrances of the city for the cars. We started to do this project we did the works already in the first and second phase, and we have reduced 25,000 cars a day here because we have taken lanes away. So that's an actual picture of the first phase. So you can see now it's more pacified, even though it's one of the entrances to the city. The second program is Let's Protect Schools. We have 600 schools in the city, spread out uniformly. And in the last 4 years, we have been changing 200 schools surrounding in order to get them more safe, to get them more green, to get some space for the kids just to go out of the school. And how can we improve 200 schools in only 4 years? We did it tactically. As you know, tactically means that with some painting and some furniture and some vegetation, you can change, you can transform the use of a part of the city in an easy and fast way, and cheap way too. So if we can take the cars away from the school, then with only a few things, you can transform the whole thing. Another example of a narrow street. That's another example of a chamfer. That the school is there. It's a 2,000 kids school, and this is probably the most traffic street in Barcelona. So they had only these 5 meters for these 2,000 kids, and you can win like these 100 square meters, which is not nothing, but for these kids is a lot of thing. Yeah. Another picture. And finally, the third program is the Superblocks Green Streets and Squares. That's a program applied to all over the city. The original idea, the concept, is that we come from a homogeneous network of streets that they work for traffic and for pedestrians at the same time, which is the first slide, the first layout. The second one in the middle is the concept. If you take these 3x3 blocks and you put all the networks, the mobility networks on the perimeter, then you can free the inner streets, the 2 inner streets in horizontal and vertical, to have more green space or to have more space for social use because you take the car away from here. So if we divide in 3 the type of streets that we have in the city, we have the basic streets, the local streets, and the green streets. Basic streets, they are the ones for traffic, but we don't want it to be only for private traffic. So if we have like a 4-lane street, we can give 1 lane to public transportation. We can still have 2 lanes for private cars and 1 lane for bicycles. Yeah? So these 3 networks, they can be in these basic streets. The second one is local streets. They normally have 2 lanes for private cars and services on both sides. So if we give just 1 lane to the cars, we can have more space for enlarging the sidewalks or to have the services. And finally, the green streets, the inner streets, which they now have traffic, but we want them to be for pedestrian use. So that's a matter of networks. If you reduce the number of cars that you have in your city every day, and you make some order in all the mobility networks that you have in the city, then you can do the whole thing to work properly. We're used to have the private car network. We have been improving in the last years the public transportation, the bus network. Before that, it was like the spaghetti plate of the lines. And now we made it more efficient, like horizontal lines and vertical lines. So you can just do it more effectively. The third one is the bicycle lanes. We have improving. We've passed from, in the last years, from almost nothing to almost 300 kilometers of bicycle lanes. And the first one is the pedestrian network. So if we take these super blocks and we focus on the green streets inside and we enlarge them, we can generate these new networks for pedestrians. So that's the plan of the whole city. And as you can see here with the corridors and the green streets, you can have that 1 out of 3 streets in the city will become in the future a green street, a street for pedestrians. And where to start? We made these first pilots to see how this was working, and now we have been scaling up the solution to the Eixample area. Eixample area is the center of the city. Economically, with the commerce, more dense, that's the densest part of the city with a lot of population, everything happens. That's the real center of the city. And we're starting this transformation here because it's the place of the city where we have more cars crossing every day. These 350,000 cars crossing the city every day. So if we see this layout of pollution, you can see the central part as the most polluted one. And that's where more people live. So that's something that we need to improve. And it's also the part of the city which is better connected by public transportation. That's the layout. So the green area means that has a lot of public transportation. So the area already has the good conditions for the people to change the way of transportation and go and take the public transportation or bicycle or this new walking network. So if we take the plan of the green streets over the city and we put it in a Eixample area, in central area, we have this plan for 2030 to have new 21 green streets. And whenever one green street crosses to another, we can free a 2,000 square meters new square, which is the red dots you can see here in the plan. So after the first pilot in a Eixample area, which was in San Antonio, that's the dark green one on the top and the bottom, sorry. After this pilot, we've been scaling up in these new 4 streets, the one in the red above, and new 4 squares. And we have been working this for the last 3 years. They have been working it, and it's going to be finished. The work will be finished next week. Yeah, so we are really enjoying the new 4 streets, which is almost 5 kilometers of new green street. That's a picture I took last week. The works, they are still there, but they are finishing it. But how can we design these green streets? We do it in 3 principles. First one is people in the center. Second one is green infrastructure. Third one is local commerce reactivation. About people in the center, we do it literally and metaphorically. Literally, because we want the people to walk in the center. Where the cars are, in these streets, people, they will walk literally in the center. And metaphorically, because we want the people, the pedestrians, to be in the center of all decisions in a project. Yeah, we want to put the street more social use because we want the people to be the stars of this kind of street. So that's one block of these new green streets. They are one single platform level, yeah? Even though they are 20 meters wide street, they are quite wide streets, but it's one single platform. The cars, they are allowed to enter here. They will come from this vertical street, they would go to the chamfer and take the inner side, but they will share this part in the middle with the pedestrians, because we want the pedestrians to be walking in the middle. So if a car gets here, whenever they get to the end, to the next crossing, they cannot follow to the next block. It's mandatory to turn to the other vertical street. Yeah? So we make sure that only the cars that need to come here, they will go here, because they cannot cross the city using these green streets. But if you live here, and you park here, or you went to IKEA and you have to bring your furniture, you can come here. But you have to leave after doing what you want to do. And as the cars share the space with the pedestrians and bicycles, it's very important that the cars, they must give priority to the pedestrians. So we have to make sure that the speed limit is only 10 kilometers per hour. Because if a kid is playing there and a car comes, they have to stop, and it has to be safe for everyone. There are streets that they are in the basis of accessibility, fully accessibility to everyone. So we have been working hard, because they are different streets, and we have been working hard with different people, associations of disabled people, like blind people or people with a wheelchair, because as you are changing the way they use the streets, it was very important for us to listen to them, and we have been working together in order to get these fully accessible streets. About the lighting here is more low, so you can feel like more comfortable for the pedestrians. And we think these streets, we believe that they are like a square. Yeah, the whole street is a staying area. So we put a lot of benches and chairs in the sun, in the shadow, so people, they can rest in the street and do social activity. And for the kids, as they are streets, we cannot do like big playgrounds, but we can have these elements for this spontaneous game. So if they walk with their parents, they can just climb to these trunks or wherever, and we put these elements in the street. Okay, that was people in the center. The second one is a green infrastructure. As we take place from the cars, we can put more green, that we need green in the city. So we pass from this 1% of planted areas in normal streets to this 12%. And we do not do a symmetric street anymore. It's a asymmetric street. That means that we use the upper part, which is the one that has more sun. So we can have this sun for the vegetation, because the vegetation needs more sun. And so we can plant more trees, because we have more space. In the new 4 streets, we have planted around more than 400 new trees. And we want to improve biodiversity, so we take I think it's 80 different species of trees, because we want the birds to have different alternatives to be in the trees. And there's something that happens. In the old streets, the trees, they are very close to the facades, because they cannot be in the car lane. Yeah, so if the trees, they are very close to the facade, they grow like this. Yeah, they cannot grow in 360 degrees. So in the new layout of street, the trees, the ones that will die, we will not plant them very close to the facade, but we can plant them in the middle of a street, because we have more space, and they can grow bigger and bigger. Yeah? So the expert says that these trees, 360 degrees, they multiply the number of leaves that they have. So it's not only that you add putting more trees, but you multiply the CO2 exchange. So it's good for sustainability. We think the green infrastructure as a 3-dimensional layout. So underneath, we are generating this new fertile soil. So the new trees and the existing ones, they have more conditions to grow better, so they can still do more CO2 exchange. And we are only digging the areas that we are changing this soil, this fertile soil. So the rest of them, we don't have to dig, and it's better for sustainability footprint too. And about footprint, we have chosen all the materials like pavements and other stuff. We have been comparing and analyzing what materials were best for our new streets, and we've chosen the ones that had less footprint. And about the water cycle, these planted areas, this 12% of surface of planted area, they collect water because in Barcelona it rains only 6 to 10 times a year, but when it rains heavily. Yeah? So we need to collect all the water that is falling down, and we can filter it to the terrain, and we can take it from there, generating a piping system so we can use the water to water the new plants. Yeah? So we are closing the cycle of the water. Okay, that was about green infrastructure, and the last principle was the local commerce reactivation, and that's very obvious. They are streets that they are attractive to the people, so there's more people, so there's more potential customers at the same time. And if these streets, they are openly wide, then the people, they can cross and see a window shop, they can go back, and properly these people, they will finally see what you're selling in your shop, and they will shop more. So we have data that in the previous pilots, that the commerce is really happy because it's a very good area for commerce. So that's a picture of the way it used to be in 2020 when we did the first tactical approach to this new street. This is the render with the one single platform and the green and everything in the staying areas. And that's the actual picture I took the other day. It was a Sunday, but there was a lot of people that even though the works, they are still on, you can see the sign out there, but the people, they are invading these spaces because it's nice weather in Barcelona and good conditions for the people to walk. Of course, they will walk. And what about the new squares? Whenever one green street crosses to another green street, we generate a new green square. So the left one is the way it used to be with a lot of asphalt and gray areas. So we can generate this 2,000 square meters new square to put more green or more social activity. So that's the way it used to be before the works. And that's the way it's going to be in 2 weeks whenever it's finished. So with a lot of green in it. In another example, we have these 8 purple trees that will be, in this new square. That's it. Just to say that Barcelona was elected Capital of Architecture, World Capital of Architecture in 2026. So we hope we can see you there to see this transformation of the city into pedestrian network. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Daniel, for your wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
How about you come with me to the front of the stage? And if any one of you has questions, then feel free to just scan the QR code behind me and then ask the question. I'll be gladly asking the question to Daniel. Daniel, I think we all agree that the work you do is important and just so great. You have showed a picture with with a street where there were a lot of trees, and you said, if I understood it right, that there were 25,000 cars before. Now it's 25,000 cars a day less. Yeah. Where did the cars go, though?
That's the good question. We have a lot of data. We collect a lot of data because we want to be very sure that what we do is we're going to do it all right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what happened to these 25,000 vehicles? Some of them, they used other alternative routes, only a few of them. Some of them, maybe they will telework and they won't get the car anymore. But some of them, they prefer to take a public transportation, because if it's a good alternative, they can change the mean of transport. And some of them, they will take a bicycle. Some of them, they will walk because the distances, they are very short in the city. So there's this, technically, the specialists in mobility, they call it evaporation of the traffic.
Yeah.
The first time they told me, I said, "You are kidding, right?" but it's true. I mean, there's a lot of simulations that it's a phenomena which is studied, and it's happening. In San Antonio area, the first big pilot in the Superblock, we saw that the adjacent street, the one which is not a green street, and it's in the same direction of the green street, at the beginning, it increased 20% the number of cars they had. But after years, it's been going down, 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 and they are at the same level as before the Superblock. But the thing is that you've seen the whole area has decreased around 20% the number of cars that they have, the whole area.
Impressive, impressive.
So, yeah,
it's
working.
Yeah, it's working. And one question, and it was also the question I would have been asked, so how do the citizens, especially the driving ones, react to it? Do you get real bad messages to your email? How does it look like?
Well, sometimes only.
Only sometimes, all right.
Of course, transformation is a change for the people, so it's kind of some people need some time to react about it. We have generated a big debate. In the last 3 to 4 years, everyone talks about mobility in the city. It's
true.
My mother, when she goes out dinner with her friends, they talk about mobility. But that's not because of me. That's for
sure.
And friends, they talk about mobility, and so a debate has been generated, which is kind of good, because I think that everyone knows and understands that something has to be changed, even though you are against the superblocks or the transformation. Yeah. So we have. It's kind of polarized. Half of the people they are very for it. Half of the people they are really against it. But if the city government they bet for it, some people they can experience. If you do a first step, the people they can experience it. We can collect data, and these people probably they will change because they see that it works. Yeah, so it's kind of pedagogy and being brave if you're a politician and you want to do this transformation. Because we have to get there. Everybody knows that we want to get there.
That's for sure. So one question and one last question to the car question. Where do the cars park that used to park in the green streets before? Have you created car parking spaces or what have you done?
Yeah, we have this regulation in Barcelona. It comes from the 80s that all new buildings to be built needed to have a parking underneath.
Underneath, okay.
Yeah. So we have collected data now that in most parts of the city, we have more parking lots than the ones we need underneath.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So only 7% of the cars in the city right now, they don't have an underneath parking.
Okay.
They park in the surface.
Yeah.
So if we took these 7% and put them underneath, we would still have some space. So I always say, if you don't take your couch, which is and you put it in the middle of a street and you go to your home for a night, why would you leave your car in the street?
Right, no reason to do so. Yes, applause. That's applause worthy. Thank you so much. So one question that came up again as well was, how would you guide cities across Europe to follow the principles of superblocks in Barcelona, but have a major challenge of space and narrower squares and streets?
So what's the question again?
The question is, how would you guide cities across Europe that have less space than you have in Barcelona and also narrow streets?
Yeah. Our solution, in my opinion, can be applied in all parts of the city. Our first superblocks, they were not called superblocks, but they were in the old town in the center, and also in Gracia neighborhood, which are really narrow parts, narrow streets. But it's kind of easier because there, the shared one single platform is very common. So the drivers, they know that have to be slow in these places. The point is that now in Barcelona we are doing it all kind of streets, like wide, small, narrow, etc. Yeah? So I would say, if you to all the cities in Europe, that yeah, they can do it. It's just the question to study and to have all the data and see if it works. And if you, as a technician, if you are sure that it's going to work out, you have to convince your politicians, or if you're politicians, you have to convince your technicians.
Yeah. Sounds good, thanks. So how about winning the civil society? What did you do and how did you win it? Because I could imagine that not only car drivers were maybe in the beginning against it, but maybe also other parts of civil society that couldn't understand it.
That's a matter of pedagogy, a lot of pedagogy and communication. We do these participation processes. They take very long, like for 1 year and 1.5 years. But you can, for the new 4 streets, we involved 1,500 people, which is kind of a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
But if you compare to 1.6 million people that we have in Barcelona, that's nothing.
Yeah.
So we have a lot about communication. And it's kind of hard to communicate because there's a lot of political sometimes or pressures, which it's kind of difficult that you have like a speaker to explain your decisions or why you are doing this. Sometimes people get confused because it can be sometimes boring.
Thank you so much. We have some more questions and maybe we'll come back to them later on.